The first time the neighbors saw it, they thought it was a ghost. Something small, furry, motionless in the snow just beyond the porch window of the old ranger cabin up in Elk Pine Hollow. But as the wind cleared the falling flurries, it became unmistakably real, a bear cub, curled beside a broken crib frame visible through the shattered glass. The sight chilled the bones of anyone who dared approach. By the second morning, it was still there. By the third, the whispers began. Whose cub is that? Why won't it leave? Is it waiting for someone? No one had lived in that cabin since midsummer. Everyone in Alder Ridge remembered the tragedy, a young couple, their toddler daughter, and a string of frantic ambulance sirens that echoed down the mountain pass. No one returned to the cabin afterward. No one had reason to. Except the bear cub. The local ranger post sent a volunteer to investigate. She returned pale, lips pressed tight. There's nothing threatening out there, she told them. But I'm telling you, that cub's not lost. It's grieving. Sitting right next to a crib. Like it's standing guard. Is it hurt? Someone asked. No. But I wouldn't call it whole either. By day 5, social media got hold of it. A hiker posted a blurry photo, a small cinnamon-furred cub resting inside the porch window, nose near the wooden slats of the crib. Snow piling around him. Eyes open. Watching. The photo went viral. They called it the morning cub. Animal behaviorists speculated. Cubs can become emotionally attached. Skeptics dismissed it. Probably just found a warm spot to rest. But locals knew better. The cabin didn't have heat. And yet, the bear stayed. Evelyn Carrigan hadn't set foot near that place in over a decade, not since she'd retired from the Forest Service. But when she saw the photo in the grocery line, something flickered in her chest. Something cold. Something familiar. She still remembered the name on the mailbox at that cabin. Jack and Emma Hale. And their baby girl, Lily. Evelyn had delivered firewood to them during that last hard winter. She remembered Lily's laugh, soft and bird-like. And she remembered the day the snowstorm hit and sirens echoed through the mountain hollows. The family had vanished after that. But now, there was this cub. Waiting. Watching. Unmoving. On the 7th morning, Evelyn packed her thermos, her old ranger journal, and a soft wool blanket, and drove up the winding pass to the place where the child had once slept. When she arrived, she didn't knock. She simply stood in the clearing and watched from a distance. And there it was. The cub. Curled beside the crib. Eyes trained on the door. A small torn stuffed rabbit lay near its paw. The kind a child might clutch every night. Evelyn didn't cry. Not yet. But her throat closed with a pressure she hadn't felt in years. She set the blanket gently on the steps, backed away slowly, and whispered, I don't know who you are, little one, but I think you remember. 6 months earlier, Elk Pine Hollow was full of life. The summer sun broke gently through the pine canopy, and the breeze carried laughter from the porch of the ranger cabin, the sound of a child's giggle echoing across the clearing. That child was Lily Hale, just 18 months old, and the center of her parents' quiet world. Emma and Jack had left behind their city lives to raise Lily among the wild. Jack, a wildlife biologist, was researching black bears. Emma, a freelance illustrator, painted while Lily napped. The ranger cabin wasn't meant to be permanent, but it felt like home. Then came the cub. It happened in late June. Jack had gone out to check camera traps along the creek when he heard the sharp cries, short, panicked yelps. Following the sound, he found a bear cub no bigger than a shepherd dog, its front paw mangled in a wire snare, blood pooling into the dry soil. The mother was nowhere in sight. Against all rules, Jack couldn't walk away. He radioed Emma. I can't leave him. He won't make it the night. Together, they carried the cub home wrapped in a canvas tarp, Lily's baby blanket cushioning its injured limb. He whimpered the whole way, until Lily toddled into view and simply whispered, "Bear." The cub went quiet. They named him Toby. For the first week, Jack monitored him constantly. Cleaned the wound. Fed him goat's milk mixed with soaked oats. Emma sketched him curled beside the fireplace. Lily would sit a few feet away, watching with wide eyes, often mimicking his sounds. Toby didn't growl. He chuffed. Grunted. Licked at his bandages. He was never aggressive. And though wild instincts lingered in his gaze, something about Lily calmed him. It was Lily's crib that fascinated Toby the most. He'd walk up to it, sniff it gently, and lie beside it at night, as if guarding her dreams. One afternoon, they found him curled up with his head against the wooden slats, Lily's stuffed rabbit resting beneath his paw. Emma took a photo, tears in her eyes. "This is crazy," she said softly. "He's acting like her shadow." Jack hesitated. "We need to prepare for the moment we let him go. He can't stay forever." But Emma just looked at Lily, and at the cub pressed against her crib, and shook her head. "Maybe he's not here forever. But right now, he's family." By August, Toby had healed. He was walking normally, climbing again. Jack built a separate pen near the treeline to begin rewilding him. But every night, without fail, Toby returned to the porch and curled beside Lily's crib. Even when she wasn't in it. Emma began to worry. What if he's not ready to go? Jack didn't answer. Because deep down, he wasn't sure he was either. Then came the sickness. A sudden fever. Lily stopped eating. Stopped laughing. By the time they reached the hospital 60 miles away, her breathing was shallow. Toby had tried to follow the car. They'd seen him in the rearview mirror, trotting through the brush, eyes wide and frantic, until the trees swallowed him whole. Emma had looked back only once. She saw the scarf fall from Lily's lap. And in her heart, something split. They never returned to the cabin. Not when Lily's bed went cold. Not when the grief swallowed their days. They never imagined anyone, or anything would. But Toby had. He remembered. The ranger cabin, though silent now, had once pulsed with laughter, and with a bond that defied nature. In the final weeks before the illness struck, the connection between Toby and Lily had grown deeper than anyone could explain. It was no longer just a rescued cub and a toddler coexisting under one roof. It was something more. Something unspoken. Something sacred. Toby wasn't just watching Lily, he was mirroring her. When she clapped, he pawed the ground. When she napped, he curled beside her crib. When she cried, he whimpered at the base of her bed. Neighbors had started to notice. Those few who passed by on rare supply runs often paused, bewildered, as they glimpsed the odd scene through the front window. A bear cub, laying calmly at the edge of a child's room, ears twitching as if listening to bedtime stories. Words spread in quiet murmurs. "That bear thinks it's her brother. I've never seen anything like it. Are they raising it like a pet?" Jack and Emma heard the talk. But they didn't care. Because every time Lily giggled while Toby gently rolled her toy ball back toward her, they saw healing. Not danger. One morning, Emma awoke to find Toby inside the crib. He wasn't doing harm. He had simply crawled in and pressed his body around Lily like a blanket. Her tiny hand rested on his back, fingers tangled in fur. Emma froze, unsure whether to scream or smile. But Lily stirred, sighed softly, and whispered Toby before drifting back to sleep. Emma never forgot that image. She sketched it later that day. Two orphans from different worlds, curled together like a promise. Still, Jack knew the line between tame and wild. He began setting boundaries, training Toby to return to the woods pen at dusk, slowly reducing human interaction. But the cub resisted. Not with aggression. Just with sadness. He would sit at the glass door each evening, staring through the pane, eyes locked on Lily's crib. Sometimes he'd bring small offerings, pine cones, feathers, even smooth stones, and leave them on the porch. Like a child trying to earn back bedtime. Emma struggled too. "Maybe we're not doing this right," she whispered one night. "Maybe we're breaking something inside him." Jack nodded. "Or maybe, we already fixed something inside us." They debated contacting the sanctuary. They talked about relocation. But then the fevers began. Lily's appetite disappeared. Her laughter dulled. The final video Jack filmed was taken just days before the hospital trip. It showed Toby gently nudging Lily's crib while she slept. He made soft, throaty sounds, not quite growls, not quite purrs. Like he knew. Like he was trying to wake her, before it was too late. After they left the cabin, they assumed Toby would forget. But memory doesn't live only in words. It lives in sound, in scent, in routine. Toby returned. Again and again. To the only place that had ever felt like home. And so, months later, long after snow blanketed the roof and silence overtook the porch, the bear cub remained. Waiting. Watching. Lying beside an empty crib, refusing to leave, not because he didn't understand, but because he remembered too much. Winter came hard that year. The kind of winter that muted the mountains with a hush so deep, even the animals seemed to walk softer. Snow buried the ranger cabin up to its windowsills. Pine branches sagged under white weight. The sky stayed pale for weeks. But through the stillness, one thing never changed. The cub remained. Locals continued to check in from afar, dropping food just beyond the treeline, watching from a respectful distance. The story had spread beyond the region by now. A photo of the cub beside the crib had been picked up by wildlife bloggers and regional news sites. People called him the orphan guardian, the silent sentinel, the waiting heart. But he never cared for the attention. He only watched the crib. Evelyn returned every few days, even as the path became harder to walk. She'd sit on a nearby stump, bundled in layers, a thermos of tea steaming in her hands. "He doesn't even flinch when I approach," she told the new ranger, Thomas. "It's like he's waiting for someone else. Someone specific." "You think he's still hoping for the girl?" Evelyn didn't answer right away. "I think he knows she's gone," she said finally. "But that doesn't mean he stopped waiting. Maybe he's just saying goodbye in the only way he knows." Then one morning, he was gone. Evelyn arrived as usual, boots crunching in the snow. The crib still sat by the porch window. The wind chattered the broken glass. But the cub was missing. No tracks in the fresh snow. No signs of struggle. No blood. No broken branches. Just nothing. She waited for hours. Cold softly. Left a small fleece blanket and scraps of food near the porch. But nothing came. Word spread quickly. People feared the worst. Maybe a mountain lion. He was weak. He might have wandered and collapsed somewhere. What if someone took him? Evelyn couldn't accept it. Not like this. Not without a trace. She searched the nearby trails, called in drone assistance from a wildlife nonprofit, even reached out to the local sanctuary. Nothing. It was as if the bear had vanished into the wind. The town mourned him. Memorial drawings of the cub appeared on community boards. Children left drawings and small stuffed bears on the porch. A local artist painted a mural, a bear cub lying beside a crib under starlight. But Evelyn wasn't ready to grieve. Not yet. Because something didn't feel finished. That night, she returned alone, flashlight in hand, journal in her coat pocket. Inside the cabin, snow dusted the floor. The crib remained empty. She sat in the rocking chair beside it and closed her eyes. And for the first time since retiring, she cried. Not for the cub. But for Lily. For Jack and Emma. For everyone who ever lost someone and had no idea how to move forward. Then she saw it, tucked behind the crib leg. A pine cone. Fresh. Not frozen. Next to it, a smooth river stone, shaped like a heart. And in the corner, under a layer of new snow, paw prints. Headed into the trees. He had been there. He had come back. Even if just for a moment. But why leave now? What had changed? The answer would come days later. In the form of a letter. From someone Evelyn never expected to hear from again. The envelope was simple, no return address, no stamp. Just her name, Evelyn Carrigan, written in familiar handwriting. She found it on her porch one morning, half covered in frost. Inside was a single page. Asterisk, we saw the photo. We know he's still there. Or was. We never meant to leave him. Please, if you still remember us, call. Emma, asterisk. Evelyn sat down hard on the porch bench. Her hands shook as she picked up her phone. The number worked. It rang once. Then twice. Then hello. The voice on the other end was cracked by time but unmistakably Emma Hale. The conversation lasted over an hour. Emma hadn't spoken Toby's name aloud in years. She said it softly at first, as if worried it would break something inside her. She told Evelyn about Lily's death. The endless hospital nights. The guilt that swallowed their marriage. The way Jack never forgave himself for choosing the woods over the world. After she passed, we couldn't go back, Emma whispered. But not a day has gone by that I haven't wondered if Toby stayed. Evelyn's voice trembled. He never left. Until last week. There was silence on the line. Then a question, soft and shivering. Do you think he was waiting for her? The next day, Evelyn mailed Emma a package, photos, video stills, a copy of her own journal entries about the Cubs' visits. Inside, she added one final note. He didn't forget her. And he didn't forget you either. What no one else knew, not even Emma, was that Evelyn had saved one last piece of evidence. A security camera, hidden in a birdhouse near the porch, had captured Toby's final return. The night before he vanished, the footage showed the bear stepping quietly onto the porch, sniffing the crib one last time, then dropping something gently onto the blanket. A small fabric scrap. Lily's scarf. He had found it, somehow somewhere, and brought it back. The screen froze on the final image. Toby, staring through the window into the crib. Eyes full of something deeper than instinct. Love. Memory. Goodbye. Evelyn sent the footage to Emma. 3 days later, Emma stood in front of the cabin again, snow crunching beneath her boots, eyes wide with grief and wonder. I don't know if he'll come, she said. Evelyn pointed to the crib. He already did. He was waiting for you. They searched for him for hours. Checked old trails. Visited the river where Jack had found him. Called into the forest with soft, pleading voices. But no answer. At sunset, Emma sat beside the crib and whispered, I'm sorry I left you. I'm so sorry. She unwrapped something from her pocket, Lily's second blanket, the one she had packed away the day they left the hospital. She laid it in the crib, her fingers trembling. And as the sun dipped below the ridge, she said, Goodbye, sweet boy. You were her angel. But this story wasn't over. Because some bonds, once formed, never really break. Even across seasons. Even across silence. Even across species. The forest had one more gift to give. And the bear who once guarded the crib had one more journey to make. Emma returned to the cabin the next morning, unable to stay away. She brought tea, a folding chair, and Lily's sketchbook, the one with finger drawings, crayon scribbles, and a single torn page that had once featured a bear drawn by a child's hand. Evelyn joined her. They sat in silence, watching the snow fall through the trees. Occasionally, Emma glanced toward the tree-line. Hope, fragile and flickering, was something she didn't dare hold onto too tightly. Until she heard the branch snap. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't the trees. Something was moving through the woods. Emma stood. Her breath hitched. From the edge of the clearing, barely visible at first through falling snow, a shape emerged. Broad. Heavy. Cautious. The bear's gait was slower now, one leg favoring the old injury from long ago. His fur, still thick, was dusted in white. He was no longer a cub. He was grown. But his eyes were the same. Emma dropped to her knees. Tears streaked down her cheeks as Toby approached, not quickly, not aggressively, but with the kind of weight that only memory carries. His steps sank into the snow as if the earth itself bowed to the reunion. When he reached her, he paused. Then gently, carefully, he set something down in the snow. A wooden block. From Lily's crib. Emma broke. She cried into her palms, rocking slightly, overwhelmed by the pain and beauty of what stood before her. Toby let out a soft sound, not a growl, not a roar, just a low, breathy hum. A greeting. A goodbye. Evelyn stepped forward and laid a hand on Emma's shoulder. He didn't come back because he was lost. He came back because he knew you finally came to say goodbye. They stayed for hours. Emma spoke to Toby the way she used to speak to Lily. Soft, warm, without expectation. She thanked him. Told him he had saved them, all of them, in ways no human could. When the sun began to dip, Toby stood slowly and turned toward the trees. But before vanishing into the woods, he stopped. Looked back once. And then he was gone. Emma didn't try to follow. Some stories don't need chasing. They need remembering. Months later, Evelyn and Emma reopened the cabin as a quiet sanctuary for orphaned wildlife. Lily's Rest, they named it. A haven for animals who needed a home, even for just a little while. In the nursery room, they left the crib exactly where it was, now repaired with a handmade plaque. In memory of the ones who wait. and the ones who never forget. Trail cams caught glimpses of a large bear wandering near the property in early spring, never close, never lingering, but always watching. Like a guardian. Like a brother. Like a promise fulfilled. Because in a world that forgets too fast, some hearts remember forever.